Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for watching the first ever episode of the TLR Race Breakdown. I got Dakotah Phend here with me. What's up, Dakotah?
What's up? How's it going?
Doing good. Um, how's the coronavirus treating you up in Michigan? Pretty tight, I hear.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough up here. So yeah, it's hopefully it gets better soon, and we're able to get back out, do some racing, hang out with everyone, and just kind of get
Yeah,
back to a little bit more of a normal life. But
yeah. I
yeah,
definitely,
it's not going great up here.
I definitely miss racing. It's been kind of a weird absence in my life. To go to the events and the track and to talk to people and stuff and see the racing live or in person. But since we can't do that, we've got something special for you today. This is the first ever that I know of. Is one of the pro drivers actually going through and analyzing his race just for you guys to see what his mindset is. And we got Dakotah. We're gonna go over the 2020 Desert Classic. Just happened and just a little over a month ago. It seems like it's kind of forever now.
Yeah,
Like that race was
a
way in
long
the
time.
past, but yeah, it wasn't too long ago. It's our last big race that we had. Dakotah was running a modified truck here at three classes. Two of the classes, one of them was truck, and we're going to take a quick look at his A main 10-minute final. And what a race that was, huh?
Yeah, I like it. I'm excited to kind of go over this with all you guys. Kind of go through what my mindset was going into the race. Kind of some decisions I had to make that maybe people don't realize just watching from the video from the sidelines. Go over that a little bit. I was it's funny. I was talking with I don't remember who I was talking with, but we were talking. This is the longest I have not raced since I was 5 when I started. So it's been a long time. I'm antsy to get back out there, but I think this will kind of help out a little bit, kind of get back into
Yeah,
the racing adrenaline a little bit and
we get to
enjoy some
watch
good
we
racing.
get to watch a really good race, and then we also get to hear you talk about it. And before we get into it, let's talk about the qualifying. I got the video ready to go here. We're gonna hit play and switch over to the big screen, and we can still hear Dakotah's voice while he narrates this thing we go step by step through all the different stages of this race. A lot happening, or a lot leading up to this race. Tell us about the qualifying effort. What was going through your mind after qualifying?
Yeah, unfortunately, qualifying was a little bit of a struggle on truck. I wasn't really like far off the pace, just kind of struggling to put the runs together. Started qualified third overall, so definitely kind of still close enough to be able to win, especially with a 10-minute main. But I knew kind of going into at the end of qualifying, like, hey, we need to figure some stuff out if I want to be able to compete for the win. Ryan and Spencer were both going fast up front, so definitely need to figure something out. So we kind of all came together, and we worked on the tires a little bit, and got some tire prep going. I spent a lot of time in there getting the tires prepped, ready to go.
Yeah,
And then fortunately, in the morning we could do like a 2-minute practice session. So went
yep,
out there and
two
ran the
minutes,
tires,
quick.
and yep, went out there, ran the tires. I ran silver octagons, but I sanded them down pretty much all the way so that there was no tread showing. Um,
Yeah, not easy to
and
do. With the full slick,
yeah,
it builds up heat almost instantly, and the trick is not to get them so hot the rubber starts changing and actually melting. And you were actually able to do a really good job. Once I saw these tires come back and on your truck in the morning, I was like, wow, did these look like natural slicks? You did a pretty awesome job getting those tires ready. And what a crucial thing that was to have your tires right.
yeah, it was a great decision, and it was ended up definitely being worth it. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of silver ellipses, or what that would have been a lot easier just to sand those down.
Yeah.
But that's part of racing. We had the silver octagons, and just took my time, kept rotating to the tires, getting them a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, and it's crazy how that little bit makes such a big difference out on the track from a full slick to just a kind of couple little grooves grip wise. But that's why we pretty much exclusively run sanded down slicks now between all the teams, all the guys. It's just better. So we made that happen. I went out and tried them Sunday morning. and they were a lot better, especially considering since the track was fresh in the morning. It was a little bit wetter, the groove was a little bit gone, and yeah, it felt a lot better. So cleaned them off, sauced them a couple times before the main, and it was like, all right, this is it. Should be good to go, and time to make it happen.
Yeah, it was the first time in that 2-minute practice Sunday morning. Was able to watch a couple laps because I was curious to see how if you were gonna do donuts or if you're gonna have some grip. And so I was paying attention. I watched a few laps, and when you got back, I remember saying to you, I'm like, oh, I go, dude, that's the best your truck's ever looked. I go, if you don't crash, you win. And then you were like, I'm gonna win this thing. And then I was like, okay, if he's feeling that confident, then he knows what it's gonna take, and it's gonna come down to driving. Now that the tires were, we got that settled and handled. It was just the truck we know is good. You've had a lot of success with the TLR truck, so I was like, okay, so he just has to figure this out as he's driving in his main to see how much grip he actually has. And man, what a race this was. So let's jump into the race now and play this up. And Dakotah, if you wouldn't mind narrating this guy for us. All right.
All right, so off the start here, got a clean start for most of the field, and kind of just tucking in behind Spencer. Ryan kind of started to pull away here quite a bit, so still a 10-minute race, but definitely wanted to try to keep up with the lead pack and just kind of be there when it needed to count. So we're coming here through the
this right section. Here. Let's talk about this.
Yes. Yeah. So unfortunately, me and Spencer got together a little bit.
Let's I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, I just
rewind that really quick one more time. So Spencer kind of makes a mistake.
Yeah, so he kind of goes up over the berm right there. And I don't know if maybe he got a little bit of dust in his tires or something. And going through that little short stretch in there with the single and then the triple double, he kind of slowed up going up the single. Unfortunately, I just plowed into the back of him. He definitely got the short end of that stick. Felt pretty bad. Yeah. It felt, I felt bad, but from my perspective, he kind of went wide and stopped. It was definitely not something I was expecting. We all race together a lot. We all kind of know each other's driving styles and, where we can be close, when we can kind of back off of each other and stuff so that, there isn't any contact. And definitely kind of caught me off guard. So, talked to him after the race a little bit and everything was good. So yeah, he kind of, he said he kind of went a little wide. He knew I was jumping that triple section there. So he went a little wide so that, it wasn't going contact going up the jump. And unfortunately I was not expecting that. And I just, if I had known it was coming, or kind of like had an inkling, I could have cut down a little bit there in the short straight. To avoid that, but
I remember him saying after the race that he was trying to let you by and basically had nowhere to really pull over to let you go. So, and then you ended up basically having nowhere to go but in the back of his truck. And he obviously, it wasn't a hack move. It looks bad on video, but there was a game plan. It's just happening so fast that it was just hard to read each other during that moment. But let's follow back with the race here. We've got Cavalieri coming on the straightaway and a huge lead over you, right? You're getting straight now, man. You just crashed on the triple. You have a hill to climb. What is your mindset going into this portion of the race?
Yeah, so unfortunately, when me and Spencer got together, that kind of already put me quite a ways back from Ryan. And I just made that mistake on the triple and was super frustrated after that. Not very happy with myself. It was a stupid mistake. For some reason, that triple had been really challenging with the truck, and I just must have scrubbed a little bit too much going up over it, and Case it made a mistake. And right after that, you have to really kind of like get your mindset going again. Like, all right, like, there's still 7-8 minutes after that happened left. Like, there's still a lot of time left in the race. I lost 4 seconds in 2 minutes, but I still have 8 minutes left. So like if I can lose that much
Yeah.
time in 2 minutes, I have the time to make it up in these 8 minutes, especially with the tires were being better. I was kind of figuring that out, figuring out the limits of the tires right now,
Yeah.
taking my time and trying to slowly kind of get back into a rhythm so I wasn't making any more mistakes or anything like that. So I knew I had time. I wasn't like super concerned as long as he wasn't pulling away and getting even farther away. I knew that, I still had
Yeah.
a shot at this.
Like right now, oof, right there, that those two little bobbles, I was like, oh man, you're closing it, make a couple bobbles. Do you keep like how do you keep mentally strong and keep chasing instead of just kind of like getting frustrated?
Yeah, so I made a little mistake before the start of that double double and got too far inside, and then hitting the second double went over the tube a little bit. Got really lucky and fortunate that I did not clip that cone.
Yeah.
And at pretty much at that point, I had to make the decision. Okay, am I gonna get second, or am I gonna make a race out of this and give it my all? So after that, I really like put my head down. I was like, all right, we got 6 minutes left. It's time to go. I need to start putting some lines together. The tires are broken in now. They got some heat in them. The truck is feeling good. Like I need to get in a rhythm.
So
So yeah, pretty much at that point.
this is the optimal truck right now in terms of tires. Everything's running well. You're just starting to build a rhythm. So this is where you feel like is confidence peaking.
Yeah, and I started to run really quick laps here. I ran a couple
Yeah.
16.2s, which was the fastest laps, and then I ran 16.1, and then I think I ran a couple more 16.2s here. So like I said, this was the point in the race where I was like, all right, I'm gonna do everything I can to win this race. There's no more excuses. Everything's working good, and I put my head down and just started rolling with the laps, hitting my marks, and just carrying a lot of speed out there.
It
Truck
is
is
time to
definitely super
drive.
hard with slicks. It's tough, especially on this style of track with it kind of being like a little bit more sand based. There's a lot of dust, and you'd be surprised with these 10-minute mains like how
And
dusty it gets that quick.
and here we go. You're starting to close up on Cavalieri. You're almost there to start challenging. And right now, like in this triple section right here, it seems like this is where you're making up a lot of time on everybody. You're able to dip in and dip out, whereas everybody's just kind of bouncing through it.
Yeah, it was definitely up, and there's a
Oh,
mistake that
yeah.
Ryan
Let's
made
go.
that
Yeah, let's go watch that again. Ryan just kind of lands on that pipe.
just like I did, and just kind of got less lucky with it, unfortunately for him.
Yeah.
And kind of caught me off surprise by a little bit. So I really had to change my mindset here real quick because there's a
So
huge difference between chasing
what is the
someone and
mindset
getting kind of
now?
yeah. So now the mindset's completely changed. I need to try to stay in the rhythm, but there's definitely you have to try to balance that risk versus speed factor. Obviously, I have a lot more to lose now being out front. And I know I probably had maybe a little bit of speed on him, but at the same time, he was in the defense position and I was in the chasing, and now those roles have switched, where he goes on to attack mode and I need to go on to defense mode a little bit and make sure I'm not making mistakes and kind of limit those risks a little bit.
So when
So
you're in the lead here, you're actually making an adjustment to take less risk.
yeah, it's just that 1 or 2 tenths that when we're running those really quick low 16s, there's a lot of risk involved. I mean, it's our job to manage it as best we can, but there's risk involved and mistakes happen. So once you get the lead and get a little bit of a gap where someone's not right on you, you kind of have to take that mindset where maybe instead of running 16.1s and 16.2s, you run 16.3s and 16.4s, and that backing it down that 5% really makes a huge difference in your consistency. And a lot of times you actually can kind of get back to those quick lap times without taking those risks because you get into a flow where you're just rolling around the track and carrying as much corner speed and concentrating on that instead of concentrating on attacking the track.
Oh. So I also noticed that in qualifying, you weren't really able to hit this triple double line. And then in the main, though, you basically were able to hit this thing the whole race. What changed?
Yeah, yeah. It was very tricky in truck to do, and you really have to line it up. So you have to go pretty wide out on that single little short straight there, and then really square it up and hit that triple straight. And then you have to make sure that when you do hit the gas that you're not pointing to the left a little bit, because then you'll jump off the track really easy and get wide there. So you have to make sure that you kind of go straight through the short straight, carry your speed, and then pivot and really get on the gas to get over that triple. But truck, it was definitely a challenge. Like I said, the tires were a lot better, and I had quite a bit more grip. The
What
track
would you
was obviously in
say?
its prime now at this point as well. So
What would you say the grip like what percentage level the grip that you had in the main versus the grip that you had in qualifying? Like, is it like a 5% difference, or what is?
yeah, I'll get to that. I just want to make one point real quick here. I actually cased that triple this
Yeah,
last lap, and the reason I
right.
did that was because I had a big enough lead where I was comfortable now to, like you see right there, I started jumping
Yeah.
on top and then just stepping down and doing the double. So I felt like I had a big enough lead to be comfortable, and with a minute and a half left, um, I was more about trying to conserve power, conserve heat. You know, in qualifying, I definitely was checking the milliamps of the battery to make sure that I would have enough for the 10-minute main, and everything was good. But you never know. Like I said, I had a lead, so I was cruising down the straightaway. You know, definitely probably only hitting half throttle there, rolling through the corners and not getting on the brakes a lot. And then through this middle section here, just trying to save some power, save some energy by kind of just rolling on it. There's a huge difference between getting on top of there and getting off power wise. So you really have to get onto it and yank the throttle to jump over it. So I don't need to do this anymore. So I'm just gonna switch up my line a little bit and jump on top and save that battery. And fortunately, I had plenty of battery left. My motor was not hot. I actually made a silly mistake and forgot to put a fan on the motor. But fortunately, the Trinity stuff was running super cool, and had no problems or concerns there after the race.
There's a
So
tip
that
for
was good to
everybody.
see.
There's a tip for
Yes.
everybody. 10-minute truck modified main. Put a fan on your stuff.
Yep, definitely always put a fan on. So yeah, I realized afterwards, like, oh man, like you didn't put a fan on. But like I said, it wasn't hot at all. But it's just kind of one of those things, like why risk it if you don't need to? So the less risk you can take, the better off you are going into the main event. So
Yeah. I also noticed.
that's about how that went. And yeah.
Yeah, I also noticed during your race, through the weekend actually, not in this race, but you changed the line here. So after the triple double, you go around the first kind of slight, soft mound, and then there's another one here that's outlined. You actually started. A lot of people were still cutting it through, taking it as close to this pipe as possible. But you were actually like starting to round this whole thing on the outside. Was there any like advantages to why you switched up your lines?
Yeah, so there's that first little roller corner after the triple double, and for some reason that corner was super tough. Being off camber away from the pipe, you think that you'd have a hard time staying up top, but for some reason I don't know if there's a little hole there or something, but it really wanted to hook right at the apex of the corner and suck your car actually into the pipe. So you had to be really careful through there. So my goal through there was just kind of just roll through the corner, not make any mistakes, and be smooth through there. And then I would
And
actually, getting down from there, I would go straight and go around that second little mogul roller
yeah,
right there, just to try to carry a little bit more corner speed, flow through the corner. When you would hit that little bump right there, when you'd land, you would have to have wheel input to get to that next corner there, and it would sometimes kind of grab a little bit funny and kind
mm,
of yank the car into the pipe, and you lose all your corner speed and all your time. So I started going around it and just kind of really being aggressive on the throttle and carrying as much speed as I could. And I think that when I did it right, it was faster. When I did it wrong, it was probably about the same speed, but it was a lot more consistent. The risk was a lot lower. So even
yeah,
if even if it was the same speed, if the risk was lower, then for me that was an easy decision.
yeah. I think when you come off this little bump here, since you're on slicks, the tires really grab. Sometimes hard, sometimes harder, and depending if you catch air or if the car is tilted, it grabs and jolts the car in a weird direction. And what I noticed is when you stayed off this, you just make a nice round arc, and it was consistent all the way through. And you were able to line this section up a lot better and more consistent
Yeah.
instead of trying to fix it here and then try to carry the speed over here and fix it there, and you're kind of like too close to this pipe. And the whole sequence of that turn I think was not as consistent if you were taking it close to the pipe. And then when I started noticing you taking it wider consistently, you know, like that whole section was a lot smoother and more consistent throughout the whole run.
Yeah, and I think maybe initially when I go around that mogul, I actually would lose a little bit of time there. But from that point until where I got to the face of the double, by going around that mogul, I would actually by the end of there get back my time, if not make up a little bit of time. So sometimes you have to make a line choice that you lose a little bit of time initially, but then you'll make it up in the next couple corners or things like that. So that was a conscious decision I made, and I definitely not in this race in particular, but just in general with racing, I had to definitely be conscious of if someone was right behind me, because that would leave the door open a little bit for someone to send it in. But like I said, I think it did end up being a little bit faster by the time I got to the face of that double.
Yeah, this section, the double section on the right side, definitely not easy to do. Just because they're kind of undersized, they're spaced a little weird, and the second set of double is actually kind of a crooked double, or it's the face is straight, but the landing is at an angle, and then you kind of have to jump it at a weird angle. And if you're not set in jumps that are usually connected, are usually very dependent on how you take off on the first set of jumps.
Yeah, so the face of the first jump in particular was very unpredictable and inconsistent depending on where you hit it. So most people, there wasn't really like, there was one bad spot where you would kind of like, when you hit it, you kind of go nose high a little bit. So people tried to avoid that spot. But besides that, it was pretty much just trying to hit it in the same place. And it didn't really matter where you decided to hit it, as long as you hit there consistently so you knew what to expect. So I think most people's goal there was just, like I said, hitting it in the same spot and then making sure that you jumped at the same length. Because like I said, depending on where you hit it, you would kind of go a little bit higher or a little bit farther or shorter, just depending on where you hit it. So you wanted to make sure that you hit in the same spot every time. So when you were using the same throttle input, that you would go the same distance. Because if you did, there was a little bit of a kind of a drop off there when you flat landed, and you wanted to kind of land on that downside and make it smooth so the suspension didn't kind of get all squirmy when you're going up the second double. So you wanted to jump it far enough where you would kind of downside that flat spot there a little bit, and then still have enough time to correct if you needed to before going up the second double. So it was definitely a very, very tricky section, and that's why you saw people making mistakes getting onto the straightaway. I think a lot of the time when we're making mistakes there on the straightaway, it's because of how the vehicle landed after that first double.
Right.
Especially, like I said, on slicks, when your car gets unsettled, you don't know what direction it's going. It's kind of squirming all over the place. So, like I said, landing that first double smoothly was very important so that you were able to line up the second double and make that smooth transition.
Well, there you go. What a great race, huh? Like a nice comeback, a build up to the race, a lot of hard work going into the tires, getting them right. And I think a lot of people overlook stuff like that where they just kind of accept, it's good enough. I'll just go and run and see what happens. You know, like I think it was nice to see that you were willing to put in the work and the effort to get your tires right. You knew what you had, and you knew where you were already going to be if you didn't put in the work and try to make things better. And the fact that you put in that extra, because you spent a lot of time. I think for four slicks to kind of grind the tread off the ghost pins off them. I think you said you spent like 30 minutes of tire.
Yeah, it was quite a long time, and like I said, I just kept rotating. I think I rotated through the tires 5 or 6 times, just trying to keep the heat out of them so that I was able to sand them down. And then got them pretty close, and then came back Sunday morning and spent like another 10 minutes on them, just kind of polishing them up a little bit. And yeah, it turned out for the best. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen, but when it does, it makes it all worth it, and it makes it that much more special and more kind of like an important win when you put that work in and you are a little bit behind, and then kind of come together as a team and figure out what you need to do and make that decision, and then come out on top, and it definitely makes it all worth it.
Cool, man. Well, thanks, Dakotah, for joining in on the TLR's race breakdown. This is our first one. We'll have a couple more races coming up. We'll review and watch a couple of other races in the past, some from Dakotah, some from Tom. maybe Aaron Kaufman, a couple different guys. I'd like to get Anthony Westergaard on here talking about one of his best races, and we'll get some just analysis from the team and what they're thinking and how they handle certain situations. I think it's kind of interesting to hear your mindset and what you thought or what your thinking was when you were racing certain races. And Desert Classic, obviously, it's one of the biggest races. It's basically a nationals minus like 2 guys, I would say. And the competition is top notch there. And in truck, it's always fun because you never really know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, truck is really hard with slicks, so everyone's kind of like, everything's working good, everything's working, great, but it is kind of holding on to a little bit, and it's just grabby. It's tough. I think that's why a lot of people love trucks so much back in the day, because the tires did have more grip. So when we're running, step pins and goosebumps, IFR pins and things like that, it made it a lot fun and easier to drive. And now we're kind of on the other extreme where we have so much grip already, and the tires are so into the track that it's making truck a lot harder to drive than it used to be. So definitely a flip flop there, but always enjoy running some truck and letting it read out there.
Awesome. Any last words? Any thank yous?
Yeah, like it's been cool to have you on the team right now, and figuring stuff out. And I'm excited to be working with you here in the future. Get out to some races and win some more, hopefully. And thanks to TLR for all the support for such a long time, from pretty much the very beginning. So thanks to them. Thanks to Trinity for all the support. J Concepts, new addition this year, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with Jason and figure out the tires and the program and all that. And it's been a great working with him. And then thanks to all my other sponsors, Horizon Hobby, Spectrum, Stick It One Racing, Bradley Fine Line Designs, Lunsford, Live RC, AMS Raceway, and just thanks to all you guys for all the support, for tuning in and watching our Facebook Lives, watching these videos, and just supporting me in my career. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dakotah. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll make another video hopefully at the end of this week. I'll think about who the next guest should be. You have any ideas? Maybe you should pick a guy. The person that's the guest should pick the next guest or something, and I could try to dig some videos or something.
That'd be cool.
Any suggestions? Anybody we should put in the hot seat here?
Man, the person that's come to mind is Tom, his re-race win. I think that would be cool to kind of go through his mindset there. I mean, that was the biggest win of his career, and he drove absolutely awesome. So loved to hear his mindset, what was going through his mind, and how he was able to keep it together and keep it smooth in that second main.
There was a lot of emotions, man. That was one of those rare races where I get to see so much emotion. It was very nice to see. Sometimes when even when Mayfield won the Worlds in Japan, China, he was excited, obviously, but there wasn't that kind of raw, just like overflow of emotions. For Tom, I was standing right there as he walked off the driver's stand. I walked towards, or when he won, I was walking towards him, and then the whole group of guys, all the drivers, just encircled him, gave him hugs. We're so excited to congratulate him. His fellow racers, his competitors, and that will definitely be a good one. I'll definitely probably put that on the next race to watch here. So thanks again, Dakotah. Enjoy the day. Be safe, everybody. It's kind of tough times. We can't race, but we can make some cool videos and cool content for you while we're all waiting around for things to get back to normal. So stay safe. You too, Dakotah. I'll catch up with you later. And thanks for doing this, and we'll see you soon.
Cool. Sounds good. See you guys.